Hello everybrony, it is Alnight, it is Brony time, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Last time, we woke up aboard the SS Beria to find ourselves in handcuffed and accused of the murder of Kazuma. Kazuma has departed this world, and we also met the, enthusiastic Herlock Sholmes, who completely got the wrong reading off of us, as well as Kazuma. Yeah, the whole thing about the Sherlock in this game is he's kinda not that smart. But anywho, I think we've talked long enough. Let's just get right back into where we left off. Ah, do you have somewhere to go? As it happens, the victim's writing in his diaries have piqued my interest. The matter warrants further investigation, I believe. And if I'm still too long, the seasickness takes hold. Oh, I suppose you're thinking of investigating the cabin next door, which the ventilator connects to? Great detectives are a curious breed. Our minds rebel at stagnation. We crave mental exaltation. So yes, I intend to investigate. Hence the truth will become clear soon enough. Do you think perhaps that we could go with you? No, that would be somewhat complicated. What? But why? A simple glass at your wrist should reveal the answer. Oh, these... After all, you're the prime suspect in this matter, no? There's no point trying to turn it into a question. You're the one who decided I was the culprit in the first place. Whatever do you mean? Oh, you literally okay, yeah. He's also a major gaslighter. I have no recollection of naming you as the culprit at any point. You must be joking! You just said it! Only a moment ago! Dear me, you are clearly misguided. I would have no cause to say such a thing. Well, actually, Mr. Sholmes, I did hear you say that too. You're quite sure? Well, that's very strange. Ah, yeah, just play it off like you forgot. I wouldn't have said you had the face of a criminal, you know. Not really. So what? Were you looking at my knees before? Some great detective you are. Well, anyway, that was then and this is now. What do you mean? What I mean, sir, is this. If you're the culprit, then you must play the part more convincingly. Roll over and accept your fate. Now he's just being plain rude. And off he goes, having just laughed in my face. His sense of humor is as twisted as his name. Now, Hodo-san, what are you just standing there for? We must go and investigate the cabin next door as well. Aren't you forgetting something? What about these? There's no way I can. God dang it, woman. Please stop throwing me. After Kazuma-sama spent his dying moments struggling to leave us a clue, you're willing to give up? You're just going to roll over and accept your fate? Ugh, as if you gave me any choice in the rolling over part. I think we still have some investigation to finish off here first, don't we? Let's carry on examining what we can in this cabin while we wait for a chance to slip next door. Good idea. Situation doesn't look good for me, but there are still things I can do to help myself. But I owe it to Kazuma to do everything I can to find a way out of this and bring the real culprit to justice. But I'd say first, we got some new evidence, so the ones that are pictures that we can examine, we should examine. Like this one. Oh, there's another store in the back here. This is interesting. Have you found something relevant, Naruto-san? Well, no, I mean, it looks like it might be interesting. I can't read a single word, I'm afraid. Nor can I. But look at this picture. Perhaps it's about a beautiful young Russian princess, do you think? She's very pretty, isn't she? I suppose you enjoy articles like this, do you? I don't know. I'm gay, Susato. Well, my boyfriend's dead. I can't make any sense of it. Ah, I'm glad you noticed this article. Ah! Allow me to give you a short summary of its contents. Oh, thank you. He pops everywhere, this Mr. Sholmes. God. It's about the disappearance of a young lady last night. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. During a performance in Shanghai, the famous dancer was reported missing. She is, of course, the talented young Nikolina Pavlova. Why are Russian names so hard to remember? Oh, you're one to talk! It would appear the woman was in costume when she was found to be missing from her dressing room, wearing the diamond tiara you see pictured, which is worth some 20,000 rubles. Oh, how much is 20,000 rubles? I have no idea, but I'm quite sure. It must be an unbelievable sum of money. Zatostone's eyes are shining like diamonds themselves. The tiara is the property of the Novovich Ballet. It would seem the director is beside herself with worry. Yes, I'm not surprised. The company is most anxious to recover both Miss Pavlova and the valuable tiara. They've requested international assistance at all ports with sailings to Great Britain. Could this be another case of a Russian fleeing his or her country? It does seem to be the Russian thing to do. Not even going to dignify that with a response, Mr. Naruto. Interesting. So we already looked at this. I don't know if there's anything else we can really gain or garner from it, but okay, yeah, it's just a text. Well, let's return to examining the scene. Let's try again. Excuse me. Walt. I was wondering if I could ask you a favor. Would you mind if I investigate a little outside? Grandmother told me Japanese people do not make jokes, but it's not true, I see. Sorry? The criminal asking prison guard to help him escape? Very funny. We're in the middle of the sea. There's no chance of me escaping. Niet! You stay in this cabin until next port. Then it is up to Hong Kong police to decide what they do with you. You stay. Alright. There's no point trying to appeal to this man's better nature. That's for sure. There's nothing on this table at all. The plate and cutlery are all over the floor for some reason. Yes, it's strange. Last night when I went to sleep, I'm sure everything was still... No, wait a minute. What is it? That's funny. I can't seem to remember anything about what happened after dinner at all. So then perhaps you are responsible for what happened to Kazuma-sama. No. When I went for the help, the crewmen forced the door open. This bolt had been firmly closed. It's quite a small bolt. not particularly sturdy, and it just slides across to secure the door shut. But still, with the door bolted, there would be no way to get in or out of the cabin, that's for sure. It's no wonder everyone suspects me. When she glares at me like that, I feel tense all up and down my spine. I remember reading once in a detective novel, the culprit used a needle and thread to draw a bolt across from the outside the room in a situation like this. Yes, that's a clever trick, isn't it? I'm an avid reader of detective stories myself. But the door of this cabin and its frame are made of metal, and they seal together perfectly. There would be no possibility of using that needle and thread trick here, I'm afraid. When she glares at me like that, I feel pins and needles all up and down my spine. Oh, look over there. The crewman, do you mean? He wasn't there before, was he? That's what I thought. Why don't we try talking to him? Probably because I'm likely to get yelled at again, but I suppose I could try. Is something wrong, Naruto-san? Oh no, it's just that crewman standing by the door. Can't help feeling that I've seen him somewhere before. Oh yes, you're right. He does look familiar. Excuse me, sir. Yes, what can I do for you? I recognize that face, but it can't be. It is! I didn't know you were here, Inspector Hosanaga. Still rubbing that blood off his face. Hello again. What are you doing here? I think that should be my line. I was so stunned when I saw you. My heart stopped. Nearly stopped, I hope. I received some special orders to go undercover as a member of the crew and board this ship. Again? You certainly seem to enjoy undercover work, Inspector. If there's anything I can do to help you, please ask. Never expect to see this man on board, but perhaps his presence can help me out of this hopeless situation. So, what are your special orders this time, Inspector? Yes, and why are you dressed as a member of the crew? I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I take full responsibility. For what? My orders were to act as Asogi-san's bodyguard. It was the Minister of Justice Jigoku who pushed for this overseas study tour to go ahead. And he entrusted me with ensuring that Asogi-san reached Great Britain without being assassinated. Assassinated? How could that even have been a possibility? I'm not sure, but these are complicated times. There are tensions between the world's greatest powers. Minister Jigoku said we should be prepared for all eventualities. This is incredible. I don't believe it. Kazuma-sama was assassinated? Obviously, we couldn't give Asogi-san a visible security escort. Which is why I'm undercover now, posing as one of the crew. I see. But I didn't take my eyes off him the entire time we've been on board, from morning until night, every day. But I never imagined it would happen here, inside his own cabin, not here on the first-class deck. I've failed miserably at my assignment, and Asogi-san is dead as a result. I'm a disgrace. All I can do is humbly apologize. Inspector. So if there's anything at all I can do to help now, just say the word. We're doing what we can to investigate Kazuma-sama's death ourselves. I thought you might be. You didn't do it, did you? You're not the killer? Of course not! We'd really like to investigate the cabin next door. Yes. Yes, so we need to be allowed out of this cabin. I'm sorry. What? You've been deemed a risk to the ship's safety. If you move to even touch the handle of the cabin door, that stormy-looking seaman there would surely snap your neck in two. I suppose I'm not just a stowaway now. I think I'm a murderer as well. Would it be possible to give me something to work with, do you think? Going to need something persuasive. What do you mean? If I had a solid reason why the next door cabin should be investigated, for example, I'd do everything I could to persuade the captain to allow it. Really, I'd lay my life on the line if I had to, but I don't see how. There may be a way. What? Really? Think of how you tried to persuade me of your innocence, Naruto-san, by presenting me with a piece of evidence that you already had in your possession. Evidence? It's just the same as when you are in court. You must have done it many times during your trial. Simply select the present panel and choose some evidence that Inspector Kusunaga could use. So, evidence that would give us a reason to investigate the next door cabin, is it? Alright, yes, I think I might know what we can use. See if I can present the detective with evidence that can persuade the captain. Oh yeah. When you're in these things, you must click present for present to work. So I was trying to present when I couldn't. What's that? It's Kazuma's diary. Just before he died, Kazuma-sama wrote something rather strange in his diary. Strange? In what way? He wrote, what looks like some kind of speckled band is dangling from the ventilator grill. A speckled band? That is strange. Yes, we're still trying to work out what he meant by that. What I like to know is... Don't tell me. The ventilator, is it? A very astute, Inspector. That ventilator clearly joins the next door cabin. That's right. So if we can investigate in there, we might be able to work out what the speckled band was. Alright then. I can't leave this cabin at the moment. I'm stuck here until we arrive at the next port. The captain has given me strict orders to guard the scene of the crime, you see. I'll have to entrust the investigation to you. Really? You're willing to do that? Yes, as long as you don't leave the first-class cabin area. I'm afraid I can't remove those handcuffs, though. But what about the captain? Aren't you going against his direct orders? I'm a man of my word. And I promise you that I'll lay my life on the line if that's what it takes to convince the captain. After all, I failed to keep Asogi-san safe. This is the least I can do. Thank you. Let's seize the moment then, Naruto-san. Just like to move and we can leave this cabin at last. Move? Alright. Let's see what we can find out. Well, there we go. We are now allowed to move outside of the cabin. So let us do that now. They've unlocked a new area, our first travel to a new area, the first-class passageway. Whew, I'm finally out of that cabin. I have to admit, this isn't quite what I was expecting. It's less spacious out here than I thought it would be. This is the most luxurious accommodation. Yes, indeed. Kazuma-sama was being sent on this study tour by the government. That's why he was being put up in a first-class cabin. Even still, this is about twice as large as my accommodation in steerage. Really? That must be awful. Oh, look over there. That's another crewman keeping watch. He looks enormous, even if he is sitting down. The door next to him leads to the second-class accommodation. I suppose he's making sure that no one comes in here who shouldn't. I suppose. Like people in handcuffs? Ah, Hodo-san, you look like a little boy visiting a toy shop for the first time. I would have thought you'd be used to the ship by now. We've been at sea for 2 weeks already. Well, yes, I know. The thing is, I was inside Cosmo's trunk when I first came aboard, and ever since then I've been shut up inside that little wardrobe. It must have been a very trying time for you. Please, don't give me that pitying look. Well, let's say good old hello to this man. Excuse me, but could I ask you something? You little stowaway murderer! That wasn't a good start, was it? Alright, let me try instead. Good day, Mr. Sailor. I'm so sorry to trouble you, but could I perhaps ask something of you? You little third-class lady's maid! Oh, you seem to have caught the sailor on a bad day, Sasada-san. I am not sailor. My mother gave me name. I am senior crewman Biff Stroganoff. Yes, like the meat or sausage. Phew, the best thing is just to avoid eye contact, I think. Mr. Stroganoff, about this first-class cabin area. Here we are in finest point of Broria steamship for very important persons. What sort of very important persons? Government officials, kings and queens traveling in secret. Many important persons. That is why I am always guarding this place. Gosh, that's amazing. But somehow I let stupid stowaway inside. I want to pick you up and throw you in the ocean, but Stroganoff is not animal. Thank you? If I may, I was wondering, is the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's currently occupied? Duh! Susato-san, did you understand that? It sounded like da. I think it's probably Russian for yes or no. Genius. It is not permitted to visit other cabins without invitation. Well, it sounds like there is somebody in the next door cabin at least. Yes, it's tantalizing. Could you tell us who's traveling in the cabin next to Mr. Asogi's? His name is Mr. Grimsby Roylott. He is very important Western gentleman. Western gentleman? Do not think about it. He has nothing to do with the murder of student boy. How could you be so sure about that? Mr. Roylott is authentic Western gentleman, not like you Easterners. Such a man would have no interest in lowly student from insignificant Far East Islands. That was harsh. Could you tell us when Mr. Roylott came aboard? That is not your business. Come to think of it, even though we've been at sea for 2 weeks now, and I've been in Cosmo's cabin the entire time, I've never once heard anything from the next door cabin, or even felt like there's anyone there. Well, presumably, since this gentleman is occupying one of the first-class cabins, he must be rather important. Is that right? That is not your business. Are you on watch here all the time, Seaman Stroganoff? Duh, all time. Some criminals like you cannot come in or get out. I wonder, could you tell us anything about about last night at all? It is sad about student boy. Were you on watch last night as well? Of course. And did you notice anything at the time? Anything unusual? Niet! Susato-san? Did you understand that? It was clearly a no. I saw nothing unusual. Nothing at all. And you didn't hear any strange noises, or sense anything was wrong in some way. I said no! Sorry! I'm not so sure. Could have sworn that he wouldn't catch my eye for a moment there. This is enough. I cannot say more now. Oh, it is time for me to report to Captain. You must return to cabin. Yes, alright. Bulkhead to second-class area staying locked at all times. You escape when the lobster whistles on top of the mountain, or as English say, when the pigs fly. Yes, I understand. Good. Now we can investigate this area properly, shall we? Definitely. This is it. This is the cabin next to ours. The one the ventilator connects to. Yes, the ventilator from which Kazuma-sama wrote that he saw a speckled band emerging. Maybe whoever's in this cabin can help solve that particular mystery. Let's ask. No answer. We're out of luck, it seems. There's no one in there to help with our inquiries. How annoying. What do you think this is? It's a very pleasing shape, isn't it? That's the emergency alarm. It's probably best not to touch it. Oh, an alarm. It says, press only in times of emergency. It looks as though it sets alarm bells ringing all over the ship, and brings the vessel to a complete stop. Oh, this I have to see. What are you doing, Naruhodo-san? You mustn't touch it! But this is an emergency situation. Just look at these handcuffs! You know full well that's not what the alarm is for. If you were to bring this vessel to a standstill for no good reason, you'd be in an even worse situation. I wish everything would just stop, this ship included. If you have to do something foolish, at least make it something that doesn't affect anyone else. Ah! Oh, what was that? It came from inside the cabin. Such a high-pitched scream. It must have been a woman. Stand aside. Stand aside. I'm about to break the door down. Mr. Sholmes, I shan't be stopped. When the fit is on me, I revel in kicking doors off the hinges. Please, wait, Mr. Sholmes. The door doesn't appear to be bolted. It doesn't? Then how the deuce can I dispatch this muscular urge? What pray can I kick? I think we should go in. There's no time to think about stress relief. Who are you? A Western gentleman. This man looks Russian to me. We heard a woman scream. A woman? Don't be absurd. As you can see, there's nobody but me in this cabin. True, this old man does appear to be the only person in here. But in that case, who just screamed? Get out! All of you! Now! Please excuse the intrusion, but you're Mr. Grinsey Roylott, I believe. Yes, that's me. And you are? I am the one and only, the actual Herlock Sholmes. You've heard of me, no doubt. No. I am a great detective among great detectives, one who adorns the covers of popular magazines, no less. So I assure you, you may trust me completely. This man used that magazine like a business card. A detective? I do not trust detectives. We distinctly heard a scream emanating from within these walls. But there wouldn't appear to be a lady concealing herself within the wardrobe this time. So might I be so bold as to ask you to open that small traveling case? What? Don't be stupid!
How could anyone fit in a small trunk like that?
Well, it's quite fashionable these days, is it not? Traveling inside one's trunk. Don't look at me.
Oh my, did you see that, Mr. Nahoda? Yes, the case just shook. Leave, now, otherwise I'll call the steward. So, this is Cosimo's neighbor, Mr. Grimsby Roylott. Good God, I don't know why I struggled on that. There's no doubt about it. This strange Russian man is hiding something. I couldn't agree more. Let's see if we can find some clues at the burly sailor returns.
Nani, Sholmes, why are you sitting in the wardrobe? Do you have a moment, please, Mr. Sholmes? You need only address me as Sholmes. That's what I just did, isn't it? Well, Mr. Sholmes, what were you doing in there? Why, I was resting, of course. Resting? Indeed. I was contemplating our sea voyage from the confines of the wardrobe whilst waiting for the inevitable time that you would need to call my great powers of detection into service. Oh, and it would seem that the hour is upon us now. The time has come. Am I mistaken? Well, no, actually, you're spot on, for once. Observe closely. Our Russian host in this cabin, Mr. Roylott, is clearly trying to hide something. And do you know what is the most effective weapon to use against a Russian hiding a secret? Why, the truth, of course. Though it should be pointed out that such methods are not exclusively for the Russians. Right. Can you imagine how the Russian will react when the secret he guards so closely is exposed? Would you like to witness it? Oh, yes, please. Well then, what are you about to see may well astound you. For I am about to apply my great detective's greatly admired great deduction to the case. Could this man be a more hackneyed portrayal of a dubious Russian, I ask you? What? From time to time, it occurs to me. Is the fellow dubious on account of his Russianness, or Russian on account of his dubiousness? God, this is much harder when I'm reading it out loud. I really don't think either of those things should be occurring to you, or anyone. That's right, and Mr. Sholmes. I know this man's beard and dark glasses are hard to ignore, especially on first meeting, but I once read, it is a capital mistake to theorize before you have all the evidence. It biases the judgment. Shh! I must have complete silence! What are you doing? Why are you peering at my face like that? Ah, just as I thought. Yes, I have quite made up my mind now. There can be no other explanation that accommodates all the facts. Mr. Roylott, I have reached two incontrovertible conclusions. What? What do you mean? Number one, your true identity is that of a villain. Using those shears, you're about to end the existence of something most dear. Are you not? Huh? And number two, the other conclusion I have drawn. You are, at this very moment no less, in the midst of committing a most grievous crime. Beneath the beard, your mouth quivers with nervous tension as you realize you have been discovered. Does it not? Oh! Oh no, Hodo-san! I never imagined I would witness one of Mr. Sholmes' great deductions with my own eyes. That was a great deduction? Nothing can deceive Mr. Sholmes. In a single glance, he can deduce all there is to know about a person. What ineffable twaddle! Oh, yes. I've read about it countless times in the adventures of Herlock Sholmes.
and I've experienced the astonishing impact of his great deduction firsthand. This is like a dream come true. Fangirl. I can hardly believe it, but all the color is drained from Mr. Warlock's face. Looks like somehow both of Mr. Sholmes' conclusions were right. How could you? How could I possibly know such things? You wish to say? Very well then. I shall elucidate. I shall explain how it was that I arrived at this pair of conclusions. So do I cordially invite you upon a journey of logical discovery. Let us board the train of reasoning. Put plainly, let us work through my deductions together. Ah, man. I love the style of this game and the way all the animations work. So the dubious-looking Russian, Mr. Warlock. Obviously, what catches the eye in the first place is the enormous pair of shears in your hand. Now we ask ourselves, what could you possibly want with such an implement? The answer, of course, is staring us in the face. You are on the verge of using the shears to cut away the copious beard you sport. Now, moving on. The question then begged is this. Why would you desire to rid yourself of this magnificent beard, Mr. Warlock? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. Regard, if you will, this morning's newspaper, in particular the fascinating front-page article, which it would appear you have read also, Mr. Warlock. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. In translation, the headline reads, Revolutionary villain Bolshevik flees Russia via Shanghai. As you cannot fail to observe, the subject of the article possesses an extremely copious beard. Having noted the articles yourself, you decided to remove your incriminating facial hair before it gave you away. In short, your true identity is beyond doubt. You are the fearsome Russian revolutionary himself, Villain Bolshevik. Not that I've heard of you myself, you understand. Now, as for my second conclusion. You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. And the proof of this crime, over there. Oh yes, Mr. Warlock. Taken unawares, people have a propensity to let their eyes stray, you see. Oh, and I assure you, the eye speaks so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, the traveling case. It is time, I think, that the case be opened and its contents laid bare. No, I refuse! What could you possibly be concealing inside, we ask? By my estimation, a young lady, perhaps, one slight enough to fit therein. Don't be absurd! And what, pray, would be the identity of this young lady in the traveling case? Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason you refuse to open your traveling case can equally be found in the pages of this newspaper. But there is another most stimulating article. If we turn from the fleeing revolutionary to the back page, renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. Such a headline can lead us to but one conclusion. Your crime is that of abduction, and according to the article, the young lady's name is Nikolina Pavlova.
This concludes Sherlock Sholmes' great deduction of the Russian enigma, Elemetsky.
Sasato-san, that wasn't one of the great deductions I've been hearing so much about, was it? Well, the stories are full of Mr. Sholmes' brilliant deductions, you know. But that did seem a little different somehow. Excuse me, Mr. Sholmes, could you come over here a moment?
Pray, what can I do for you?
It's about your deductions. Would you mind?
Not at all, go on.
Well, to start with, there's the newspaper article. I think we had the same discussion before, but...
These two men look nothing like each other! Yes, I recall our discussion earlier, and at the time I believe I told you that the man is a revolutionary, able to revolutionize his own appearance.
In fairness to Mr. Sholmes, Mr. Roylott does look more like this man than you do. That's not the point.
And another thing, the part about him abducting the ballerina. Indeed, a truly startling revelation. At first glance, the case would appear too small to accommodate a young woman. Not just at first glance, it is too small, clearly! You'd be lucky to fit a 5-year-old child into that case, even if you pushed really hard.
I don't suppose the missing ballerina is a 5-year-old child, is she?
You mean you don't know? No, the young lady is 15.
No, I didn't know. How could I? Well, if she's 15, then 10 years' worth of her would be poking out from that case.
Some years ago, I tried something pertinent, I believe. I read something pertinent, I believe. A troop of men consuming vinegar daily in order to promote a certain leanness in their bodies.
Vinegar?
For such a sour bunch, it would surely be simplicity itself to contort oneself into the confines of that small case.
Oh dear, you might be thinking of contortionists in the circus, Mr. Sholmes.
This whole thing is turning into a circus.
Mr. Naruhodo, something has occurred to me about Mr. Sholmes' deductions just now. I think his powers of observation are, well, magical. His eyes cut to the heart of the matter almost instantly. It's just where he directs his attention and his logic that seem a little off. Your idea of a little may be a little off itself, Mrs. Sato. It's just one or two key words in these deductions that seem to let him down. So I was wondering if we might perhaps tactfully switch them for alternatives. What do you think?
Switch some key words in his deductions?
Yes, but very tactfully. I feel sure if we could do that, we'd unlock the true genius of Mr. Sholmes' great deduction.
Precisely the thought that was going through my own mind.
This man is a lot of work.
Times I wonder how anyone puts up with me.
It's not that funny.
And you, my good fellow.
Sorry?
Take a moment to look at your wrists.
My wrists?
Get ready for this animation, people. We will be seeing it over and over again. Someone over at Capcom was very proud of this.
Where are your handcuffs?
How did you... I felt they may hinder your ability to follow me in our dance of deduction.
I don't believe it. Mr. Sholmes, you are a marvel.
And don't worry, I shall restore the shackles to your wrist when we are finished.
I'm not worried. In fact, I'd rather stay like this.
So, let us begin. Sherlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectacular. Hold it, Mr. Sholmes! So, okay, we're not gonna read this. And we're gonna kind of speed through this. we have our first, I don't know what to call it, our first, correction. I'm not sure. Would you really use shears like that to cut off a beard? Doubt that's something I'll ever have to worry about. Doesn't quite sit right with me, though. Doesn't seem to be sitting right with Mr. Roylott either. Which means I suppose that the deduction is wrong. Let's try to switch a key word here, Naruhodo-san, and see if it helps matters. Alright, but how? I think we should start by taking a long, hard look at Mr. Roylott. Wonder if it's really his beard that he intended to use those shears on. Exactly. If we do manage to find something that seems to fit the sense of Mr. Sholmes' deduction better, then what? Then I'll leave the rest in your capable hands, Naruhodo-san. Why am I the one to do something about this? Well, anyway, let's see if there's anything we could even use to switch around in that last sentence. What exactly was Mr. Roylott going to use those enormous shears for? This.
Yes!
God, that effect's so cool. You were on the verge of using the shears to cut away the golden locks, you sport. Indeed, you have identified the precise detail I was intending to expose. Such lush golden hair certainly does not befit an old man. You're not a man at all. You're a woman, and judging from the length and sheen of your hair, one still very much in her youth. Oh no! If only I had managed to cut off my hair, no one would have suspected. The question then begged is this: why would you desire to get rid of those magnificent locks? Once again, the answer is plain. We have clear evidence to shed light on the matter. I'm sure it needs no further clarification. The evidence that reveals your true identity is the article about the revolutionary. Well, that was a shock. I had no idea the old man was really a young woman in disguise, did you? What? Why are you staring at me like that? Yes, it was a surprise, Naruhodo-san. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Ha ha ha! Sorry. You look like you're in your element as you dance around the room deducing the facts of Mr. Sholmes. I'm just doing what we agreed. I'm not having fun or anything, baka! This is strictly business, not strictly Yes, I understand. Say no more. Well, anyway, let's focus on the next part, Mr. Sholmes' deduction, shall we? The evidence that he's picked out doesn't fit the facts at all now. No, that's true, given that Mr. Roylott is actually a woman. Exactly. He, or rather she, can't possibly be this merciless revolutionary. Suppose it's because the deduction as a whole has taken a different direction now. Yes. Let's switch the evidence for something else. Something that fits the facts as we now understand them. For some reason, this woman needed to try to hide her true identity. I feel as though I've either read or heard a young woman in a situation like that recently. Alright, I'll do my best. Well, it's the article about the ballerina. The evidence that reveals your true identity is, of course, the article about the ballerina. That's right, you've hit the nail on the head. Renowned prima ballerina of the Novovich Ballet disappears from Shanghai. It would appear we are finally able to address you by your true name. Yes, because your true identity is that of the Novovich Ballet's prima ballerina. Miss Nikolina Pavlova. Oh! Yeah, 15, folks. You're right. My real name is Nina. I mean Nikolina Pavlova. But please, I beg you, don't tell anyone. Now, as for my second conclusion, You are, at this very moment, on the brink of committing a most grievous crime. Prove this crime over there. Clover, taken unawares, people have a prosperity to let their eyes stray, you see. Ah, and I assure you, the eyes speak so much more eloquently and honestly than the mouth. The answer we seek lies where the furtive glance falls. The proof of your crime sits before our very eyes. Yes, that traveling case. This woman is the ballerina, and she's right in front of our eyes. So clearly, she can't be inside that traveling case as well. No, that's right. It seems she wasn't abducted at all. In which case, what is the crime this young woman is apparently committing? I can see I'm going to have to step in and fix the great detective's mistake again. You seem to look pleased now, Hoda-san. Do you like the idea of another chance to dance around with Mr. Sholmes? Stop it! Anyway, there must be something else here that shows what this woman is up to. Well, certainly this very fancy-looking tiara. Wow, look at this dazzling tiara! Never seen anything like it. Are those real diamonds, do you think? Oh no, Hoda-san, try it on. What? Me? Isn't it usually girls who wear tiaras? Wouldn't you like to try it on? Oh, come on, Renosuke. It's 2023. Actually, no, it's not. So... Oh no, I couldn't possibly. It's far too beautiful. Come on, embrace your inner drag queen, Ryan. Why does this tiara look familiar? I feel like I've seen it somewhere recently. Well, it's obviously BAM. The proof of your crime is surely this tiara. Ah! I believe this tiara is worn on stage by dancers in the Novovich Ballet, is it not? Indeed, it would appear to be identical to the tiara pictured here in this newspaper article. And if the reporting is to be believed, it's an item worth 20,000 rubles. In summary, the crime you have committed is theft. Oh no! Yes, you left your ballet troupe unlawfully taking their precious tiara with you. Ah! I have no one, no family, no friends. I am all alone, and I need money. But I did not steal the tiara. It was present from, how do you say, an Earl of Prussia. It belongs to me. This girl is only 15 years old, and she's run away all by herself. She must have been extremely lonely. Alright, I will tell you everything. There is no point to hiding it now. Come, come, let us not be hasty. What? There remains one unsolved mystery about you. Mystery? What do you mean? You have staunchly refused to open this traveling case of yours in our presence. It is reasonable to conclude, therefore, that there exists some reason why you wish it to remain closed. Is that not so, Miss Pavlova? My dear girl, there is no sense in playing games with me. Nothing escapes my attention. Indeed, I have a very good idea of the contents of your case, even before I have ever laid eyes on them. Dear me, we are not well suited to a life of crime, are we? Your careless coup d'oeil betrays you. Once again, we need only follow your furtive glance to find the answer. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the books on this shelf. He's completely changed tack with his deduction now. Thinks Mr. Sholmes is adapting his logic to the changing circumstances, don't you? Maybe, but why has he suddenly brought the bookshelf into all this? It's just a wild guess, surely. Oh, do you think so? Well, it seems likely that the reason why this young woman doesn't want to open her case would have been written in a book that doesn't even belong to her. Yes, that's true, but still, Miss Pavlova certainly did cast her eyes in that direction. Noticed it myself. There has to be another reason why she won't open her case. It must be somewhere in the same area. That's where her gaze was involuntarily drawn.
I agree. That's the only answer. Whatever she has hidden inside that case should be revealed by following her gaze in the direction of the bookcase. Well, the only other thing that it could be looking at, well, I mean, could be looking at that small picture, but I doubt it. Rules of passage. Yes, the reason why you refuse to open your case is written in the rules of passage. Passengers may not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are strictly forbidden. Inside that case of yours is something forbidden from carriage on this vessel. That is the real reason why you refuse to open it, thus revealing its contents. As we've seen, the trunk wobbles from time to time, but no weapon or other dangerous item would move of its own accord. Which leaves but one possibility, Miss Pavlova. Inside your traveling case is the item listed as Forbidden Vessel's Rules of Passage. A pet! I can't do both voices at once. Ah! Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached a good stopping point for this episode. So yeah, interesting one. We ventured out and we met Biff Stroganoff, the sailor who was supposedly on guard the night before, when Kazuma was murdered. But he says he noticed nothing out of the ordinary last night. But he seemed a little hesitant a bit. He looked away from us, which suggests he's hiding something. And now we've met, of course, Mr. Grimsby Roylott, only revealing to be the missing ballerina Nikolina Pavlovas. And we have completed our first of the, I would say, 3 major mechanics in this game. Well, technically the third, because we were introduced to the questioning other people, 2 people on the stand at once. That was actually introduced in the game prior. Phoenix Wright versus Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. But yeah, once again, thank you all. This series it's been off to a slow start, but it's getting there, and more people are interacting with the video, and the beginning of series are often a struggle, as it was with a lot of my other series, but I'm enjoying it, and I can't wait to get in the next episode. So, thank you all for watching. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to Brony Time for more content, especially more of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. Also, make sure to share this video far and wide. It helps other people discover the series and thus discover the channel, and see if this series may be something they may be interested in following. Well, see you next time.